How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Brock Boeser and what the Canucks can realistically do with the two options that are laid out on the table. There's technically three options, but I'm going to lump two of them into one option together because I think that they fit well together. And the first option is trading him. If the Canucks fall out of a playoff spot, they're on pace for it right now. Hopefully they can turn it around. They just need to finish this last two games. They just have to put the puck in the net. That's all. They've looked great. They just really got to put the puck in the net. And then the second one is extending him or keeping him at least until July 1st. And I'll lump those two together because they kind of be in the same sort of area. Before we get into the video, I want to shout out Fanatics Canucks gear. Check out my affiliate link here in the QR code right there, or the link in the description. And you can copy yourself some Canucks gear or whatever team you cheer for. Yeah, Fanatics is the official site for the NHL's merch. And yeah, QR code yet again. I'll throw it up right there. Link in the description. Check out, pick up your official Canucks gear. I got a Keefer Sherwood jersey for this season because my Bo Horvat jersey was out of date for 2 years. Yeah, let's get right back into the video. Now, there are rumors. I don't really like to get into rumors after the whole JT Miller and Elias Pettersson thing, even though maybe some of it was true and some of it wasn't true. But there are rumors in terms of Boeser that the team and the player are not close to an extension, and you know that could mean plenty of things. Apology for the squeaky chair. There's two routes the Canucks can take. It's trading him and keeping him, and then there's many routes in terms of actions they could take when they trade him and actions they could take while keeping him. I want to go over keeping him first because that is the more simple one, because there's two simple options. You extend him. Now, what would the contract look like? I don't want to get too into that, but I feel like 8 wouldn't be that far out of the picture. Now, the Canucks have $12 million in cap space for next season. That could open up with Carson Soucy being traded. He was on the block. Not sure if teams are interested, but if the Canucks are able to shed the cap space of Carson Soucy at the deadline to keep Brock Boeser, they'd be able to hopefully keep him and Pius Suter and still have a little bit of cap to make moves in the offseason. So if they do keep Boeser, it's either an extension or it's either letting him go. Now, the letting him go part, that's easy. They shouldn't do this, 100%. Like, I know he'd be valuable for the playoffs, keep him, and then let him walk in free agency. I know, but it's just so valuable. He's such a valuable player that making that decision is the worst decision possibly. You'd be better off trading him at the deadline than letting him go on July 1st. Extending, I don't think $8 million is out of the picture. I think that's a realistic contract with the cap going up, especially it going up by more than $8 million this season, like going into the next season, and then going into the next season is going to go up by over $8 million. By the time that third season jump that the NHL has projected happens, that $8 million contract will probably either look like a steal or look pretty good, especially because it's going to be for term. The next contract Boeser signs will probably be a lockdown 8-year contract with the team. I'm going to stay here, I'm going to play here, and maybe we'll figure something out in the latter 2 years of my contract, but Boeser probably wants to stick with the team. Now, is it the Canucks? Does he want to go home to Minnesota? I'm not sure. But if the Canucks do want to extend him, keeping him for a long time and extending him to a decent price point would be good. Now, they can't probably agree on the price point. I'm not sure if it's the years or the price point that I heard, but I think it's the price point that they can't agree on. At the same time, he is worth that $8 million. I mean, he had that 70-point, 40-goal season. Yeah, he's not on that pace this year, but what Canuck is not on pace for the season they had last year? Except for maybe Quinn Hughes, but I'm not even sure if he's on pace for his season. I'd have to do the math, and that's not what this video is about. But yeah, I say if the number's 8, give him $8 million. He's tied for most points on the team right now. I'm pretty sure Pettersson and DeBrusk tied him last night. They each got 1 point on the goal. But yeah, tied for the top forward on the team right now. Give him 8. Especially he's going to be a solid top 6 guy who is a goal scorer. Proven goal scorer. He scored 40 last year. Who says he doesn't pop off for 35, 40 next year? But yeah, if the Canucks are on the camp of extending him, that's what I think. In terms of, I think I've already talked about it, letting him go at July 1st, they shouldn't do that. They should not do that. I think that's the dumbest thing they could do. Yeah, it's just, you lose value. Yeah, you gain cap space, but you lose value. The next option is trading, and there's two ways you can make a trade. You trade for draft picks. If you're going to do that, I think that they should trade for draft picks for not this season, but next season. Why do I think that? Because that's value you can use either at the deadline next year or at the draft or free agency. It just gives you that trade capital that you can use to buy when the team hopefully plays better next year. And yeah, because if you use it on this year's draft, yeah, sure, you could trade the player that you drafted, but I'm not really on the camp of like trading players you draft right away, especially when you just drafted them. Like, why draft a player just to trade them right away? So yeah, I feel like they should get up picks for next season and just use those as trade capital for the upcoming season, because I feel like that's a smarter. Like, we're not going to go into a rebuild. We're definitely not going to go to a rebuild. If we trade Boeser, we're going to look to acquire another top 6 forward, meaning we're in the same spot, right? So we can't go into a rebuild / retool, especially Quinn Hughes won't do that. We'd have to trade Petey. We'd have to trade a lot of pieces. So yeah, I feel like the Canucks should just trade them for picks for next year's draft, or you know what, trade for this year's draft. If you can get a solid pick for this year's draft, you think you can get a steal, then sure. But honestly, it's just, if you're gonna trade for picks, I feel like the best course of action is to trade for picks next season. But yeah, if you're gonna get draft picks, that's the way I would go. And then players, I think a solid bottom middle 6 defenseman that will replace Carson Soucy role, or he can come out of the lineup, but also you want him to be more of a consistent lineup guy, would be the first piece I would add to that trade. The second piece I would add, probably a first round pick. That might be a little controversial. I don't think so. Maybe there's some people who think that Boeser's not worth a first round pick, but I personally believe that if the Canucks were to trade him, you have to at least get a first. Now, if you're getting that bottom 6 defender, if he's right-handed, you're not going to get a first round pick. You'll probably get a second and a third. Would you take that? A second and a third for a bottom 6 defenseman who would be solid, who you could lock up for Brock Boeser? I don't know if I would do that. I think I would have to do a first, even with that third attached. But a first and a bottom 6 defenseman, tell me that's not bad. A first for the year after, maybe the draft's better. I haven't looked too much into it, but you could also use that first. You could get a really solid player. You could get another top 6 forward next season, buying in. Like, or a middle 6 forward. I don't know. I don't know if Boeser's worth a first round draft pick in other GM's eyes. Personally, I'm a Canucks fan. Bias. I think he's worth a first round pick. You guys can let me know what you guys think, if he's worth a first round pick or not. But yeah, if you're gonna get players, get a defenseman who can play in the bottom 6, who you can rely on, and doesn't turn into what Soucy ended up being. But yeah, the second thing I would look for is also a younger player who would be AHL ready. Not a guy who's going to play in the CHL. Not a guy who's going to be playing overseas. A guy who's AHL ready, younger. I'm kind of already looking at the fact that it's going to be like a JT Miller or a Bo Horvat trade. Minus the first if you do a defenseman and a younger player, and then maybe a third. But yeah, honestly, I don't think they should trade Boeser, but if you have to get assets, get good assets. Get a player who would be like a Ratu, who would be like a Mancini. Guy who can travel from Abbotsford to Vancouver and play in both, although he would play a bottom role in Vancouver. And yeah, that's really about it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked, make sure to leave a like. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I could be totally off, and you guys could roast me in the comments. That'd be fine. Honestly, I'd take it. But yeah, that's it for this one. The next video is going to be on Friday. It's going to be about how efficient the Canucks bottom six has been this season, even though this season has not been pretty good, especially guys like on the jersey, Kiefer Sherwood. But yeah, that's about it. See you guys.